Okay, so the next step is to get rid of these transparent bits that you can see on each of these frames. So these have occurred because I've been using the marquee tool to move sort of parts of our figure around when he's been sort of going down and going up as he's taken the steps. And it's created these little transparent parts. Anything where you've got this little checkerboard part, that's just Photoshop's way of showing you that it's transparent. So if we go to our first sort of frame, and then let's go over to our layers panel, and at the moment if I click on that, none of the layers in here are actually visible, and they've all got locks on, and most of them have. Just put a lock on that top one. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to start with layer 1. So I'm going to take the lock off. We're going to put the visibility on so we can see what layer 1 looks like. Now you might be wondering why you've not been able to see those transparencies before, and that's because you've got layers beneath them. The transparent bit has been looking onto the layer beneath where we did have the background. So those white bits were sort of filled in by the background. If I put the visibility on the background, you'll be able to see that that's the case. But because the frames are being pulled off just the layers themselves, in the animation they show as transparent. So to sort them out, let's start with layer 1. We've taken the padlock off and we've got the visibility on so we can just see layer 1. Okay, and I'm going to go to the paint bucket tool, which is over here. You may have it set to gradient or something else, but it's the paint bucket tool you want. We need white color, and we're just going to click into that transparent space and fill in those two bits, and then that's that layer sorted. So we can put a lock back on that layer, take the visibility off that layer, and move on to the next one. Take the padlock off, put the visibility on, and we've got another block of transparency here that we need to sort out. So I'm just going to paint bucket those bits in, lock that layer up again, take its visibility off. Remember, it's important to take the visibility off, or when you move on to the next layer, it'll look through onto what you've done and look like there isn't a transparency. So only have one layer visible at a time. This one, we've got a few more bits to do. Just going to paint bucket the white into all of those, put the padlock back on, and turn the visibility off. And then on the next one, padlock off, visibility on. Let's just put the paint bucket the white in, and that one's all good to go. So let's put the padlock back on, turn the visibility off, and just work through each of them in turn. Now this one, when we get to layer 1 copy 4, for me it's a little bit more complicated because the transparency actually goes into the figure. So I'll sort out the other bits first. I'm going to paint bucket in the white on the outside bits that are not in the figure, just to get those sorted out. And then I've got this bit in here, so I'm just going to go into this, I'm going to put it onto my blue colour, go back to my pencil, and just sort of sort out that middle bit there, so that's okay. And then put the padlock on, turn the visibility off, and move on to the next layer. Similar kind of setup, we've got transparent holes in the figure, so I'm just going to go back to the paint bucket, go back to white, block out the main chunks of it which are outside of the figure, and then using my blue and my pencil, just going to sort out these little bits in here. And that looks okay, I think, for the most part. We'll put the padlock back on that one, turn the visibility off, move on to the next layer, and put the visibility on, and we've just got a single block outside. So I'm going to go back onto white and paint bucket, fill that bit,